Welcome back everyone to another Castlevania game. This time one of my all-time favorites, Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. A wonderful combination of that classic Castlevania gameplay with a fantastic combination. Definitely a much better game than Rondo of Blood, that's for sure. Definitely one of the most atmospheric 16-bit games ever made. Welcome back, Troop. Your name more appropriate than ever. You're a trooper, man. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, I'm really glad to be revisiting this after playing Rondo of Blood there, because that was a real wake-up call. I mean, a wake-up call. Eye-opening experience, maybe is the right term. No MS Paint anime here. Some seriously atmospheric music and presentation instead. So I'm on my secondary setup here on my PC, and apparently I haven't logged into Discord into it in a very long time, so I'm not able to, and I'm not gonna. My phone is dead, so I can't do the two-factor authentication, so I can't share this link in the Discord. But hopefully, people will see this nonetheless. But the important thing is, folks, for those of you in the Discord or not, this is a really, really stellar game with some amazing art, amazing music, especially considering for how early it was in the Super Nintendo's life cycle. So I hope you'll join me and enjoy on a dark and eerie night dealing with Dracula one more time this evening. So this intro is basically unchanged from the Japanese version with one alteration here. The original Japanese game was more openly a remake or reimagining of the first game. So it didn't say, once again, Simon Belmont is called upon. It just said, Simon Belmont is called upon to destroy Dracula, essentially. So, yeah, this is a reimagining of the first Castlevania. This first quest of Simon's has been reimagined many times, basically. The first game on the NES, you've got Castlevania Chronicles or whatever that was in the first place. Vampire Killer on the MSX. And then this. Yeah, one of my favorite SNES games, for sure. Huge step up in fluidity of controls over the NES games. Simon can now whip in 8 directions. If we hold the whip button, it hangs loose. We can swing it around. Doesn't do as much damage that way, but just gives us more options in terms of combat. Sub-weapon is mapped to R, so we don't have to hold up and whip to use it. Which again allows us to do just more things in general, like crouching and firing. So for this game, I'm playing it on my Super Nintendo, should say specifically my SNES Junior or Mini or whatever you want to call it, the second model Super Nintendo. It's been modded for RGB output. I'm playing it connected to an OSSC into capture card, so OG hardware. The best possible configuration. Yeah, the swinging. They incorporated that into Bloodlines, but not quite as fluidly as you got it in this game. How orange this game is, Troop. Yeah, it's pretty orange. Well, in parts. It's got a pretty diverse color palette. I'm so fond of this game. It's so captivating. Remarkable atmospheric feelings for a game. A 16-bit game. I can't wait to get to the second stage. It's so beautiful. It's just hard to describe. There's something about just this game specifically. You know, a lot of the Castlevania games have a really killer atmosphere, but this one's soundtrack it really stands out. It has more of this ambient touch than the rest of the games. There's just this... What's the French term? The je ne sais quoi? It's like hard to put your finger on, especially the credits theme, which is one of the most beautiful compositions on the Super Nintendo. It's very evocative. This will probably be a lot smoother of a playthrough than Rondo was going. This game manages to convey this element of Transylvania being extremely haunted, you know? Just like the background scenery, the music. It's like, this is a very, very serious mission Simon is on. Dracula is an extremely unholy, serious threat in this game. So the other games, you've got these rocking soundtracks, but this is no joke. Yeah, I was just a wee babe when the Super Nintendo was getting started. I mean, it came out the same year I was born, I think. But I got to play all these games as a little kid, you know? It's like the Super Nintendo is becoming kind of outdated. So as a result, my parents got to scoop up all of these games, you know, from yard sales and whatnot. So even though we weren't a very high income family, I still got to play tons of these awesome games as a kid, kind of like retroactively. Same thing with the NES, so it was a real treat. But I can't imagine, you know, going from the NES to the SNES, Mario 3 to Mario World, games like F-Zero, Pilot Wings, going from Castlevania 3 to this. Pretty insane leaps in fidelity. Listen to that percussion. Yeah, the hit feedback in the first boss is very satisfying. This moment here, I love. It's the visuals of that deep blue sky with these clouds flying above. It's hard to explain, but there's something about these graphics that just manages to evoke something in your imagination, you know? At least it did for me. Walking above the tree line here. It's like aesthetically pleasing enough on its own, but it does something, I just think, again, at least for me, internally, where it just sends my imagination reeling and adds this X factor. I've said this many times before, but there were very few games in like the 3D era and beyond which kind of maintain that. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask being a couple of them, but then, you know, Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 really kind of captured that similar essence. There's this whole world going on beyond the margins. Things, just like any form of art, can manage to be evocative just with the most basic, you know, elements of color palette and suggestion, and of course music too. You know, playing this game silently, you would still get some of that, but the music goes a long way. I've never really looked into who composed the music for this game and what they went on to do. Probably should, considering how much I'm into it and how effective I think it is. But this is a decent example of something you get in some Castlevania games where a portion of the game is dedicated to just getting to the castle. You know, you're not starting at the gate, so to speak. You've got that adventure on your way there. And this really nails that. Same thing with Simon's Quest on the NES. As well as Order of Ecclesia on the DS. That's a great game. The level design is a bit flat in that one, but overall I think it manages to capture that. I'd really like to check out Portrait of Ruin. That's the one DS game I haven't played. And apparently that's kind of a similar thing. More beautiful, complementary uses of color here in the caves. Nice lush, kind of emerald green in the back. Later quotes from Moon RPG. Haven't played that. Circle of the Moon. It'd be interesting to revisit Circle of the Moon. I purchased that when it came out. I was actually my first GBA game, but I haven't played it since. And I had, you know, it was a launch GBA, so it was really, really hard to see that game. The screen was not backlit on those initial GBAs, so it was a challenge. I played a bit of Harmony of Dissonance? But Aria of Sorrow was great. Aria of Sorrow was like, okay, we've got Symphony of the Night quality in handheld mode. Not quite the full feast as Symphony, as it's a much shorter game. And, you know, you're working with like a GBA sound chip, even though it did sound a lot better than the first two GBA games, but still. You mentioned Bloodstained earlier, Troop. I'm definitely going to be checking that out at some point. I just wish they had gone with the 2D art style, but I understand why they didn't. Okay, this screen here, 3-2. This soundtrack. These visuals. There's nothing like this in any of the other games. You have your darker moments conveyed by the soundtrack, but this feels like truly doomed. Like Simon is the last person alive in all of Transylvania. It's such a depressing track, but it's perfect. In fact, I'm gonna hang out a sec so we can enjoy this tune a bit longer. It's really gorgeous. Yeah, I played the first of those 2D Bloodstained games. I didn't beat it, but that was quality. I guess with the music, it's not just the surface emotional evocative stuff. Like I said, it's just this element of stimulating the imagination in terms of the setting that I really get into. Like Simon's climbing this and thinking about how many people have died because of Dracula's curse or something. Like you said, less is more. This is kind of obvious, but I didn't make this connection until relatively recently with these kind of like Greek or maybe even Roman structures in the background here. It's like, that's not that interesting on its own, but in Castlevania Bloodlines on the Genesis, that second stage with that beautiful, beautiful music, and then obviously that, you know, Bloodlines is more of a Europe vacation kind of game. We're exploring all these different kinds of locations and locales. This is the one that had that setting first, and this stage right here, obviously expanded upon in that stage in that game, but these guys did it first. No Troop, I haven't played that one. I'd like to. There are quite a few Wii games that are now, as far as I'm aware, not even available to play officially. So I'm gonna have to resort to some unofficial means to play them. But that one's supposed to be pretty good, right? Like nice bronzed pillar. Yeah, I watched some video recently which covered it on YouTube, maybe GameStack. A decent source for information. The thing that it's kind of bittersweet that you start to realize the more you spend in like the whole like retro gaming scene is that, yeah, sometimes there are hidden gems. Absolutely. You know, there are, for no doubt. But a lot of the time, the good games have gotten the exposure because they were the good games. You know what I mean? That's kind of bittersweet. It's like, yeah, sometimes you will find things that like, wait a minute, why wasn't this more popular? Why didn't this get all the exposure? But I'd say that's like maybe 25% of the time, unfortunately. Some slowdown. So if I had more time this evening, I'm pretty sure there's a patch for this game on romhacking.net that lets you, that basically reconfigures the ROM to take advantage of the SA1 chip, which basically eliminates all slowdown. The thing is, of course, the game didn't actually ship with an SA1 chip, so it means that the game is benefiting from the emulation of an SA1 chip, whether that be via emulation like BeastNES or SNES 9X, or playing it on an SD2 SNES or an FX Pack Pro or whatever it's called now, if you're playing on real hardware. But there's a similar one for Contra 3, which obviously I'm a huge fan of. So next time I play that on stream, I'll probably utilize that. Although it's one of those things where it's like the slowdown actually makes the game like a little easier to handle at certain points. I love these skulls looking at you as you walk by, turning. Kind of flashing eyes, too. A little red pixel. More awesome music. No! Oh. Close one. Get that health bar. Just Matthew Patos's second last video discussed. Yeah. I was actually watching some of his classic Zelda videos recently, you know, playing Wind Waker. I was like, oh, visit his thoughts on those. Obviously on point. Yeah, Matthew, he's gotta be my #1 influence for the kind of approach I take in my own videos, and probably many other people, I would imagine. The OG. Yeah, you know, it's just like any form of media. As we move forward in time and the overall discography grows, as yeah, just comes with the territory. Things will be lost to time, for better or for worse, but hopefully, you know, we can try and keep the flame alive and encourage people to continue to check out the good stuff, even the older good stuff. Hopefully I've done a bit of that. This stage, beautiful. Look at this. No, but you see Rondo Blood with its quasi 16-bit graphics so much better. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I won't go there. Ladies and gentlemen, I did play Rondo Blood earlier tonight, and it did not go well. I don't think that game is nearly as good as its overall reputation suggests. Unlike this game. Yeah, very cool stage. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the blessing and the curse of modern generations, you know, as far as like gaming goes. It's like you can play all of the best games that have ever been made and the best games that continue to be made. You know, there's a million ways to do it. You can play on original hardware, which, yeah, admittedly is getting kind of expensive, stupidly so. But you can also easily emulate this stuff and play it and enjoy it just fine, you know? Our resident pal, Nintendo, as he's now known, he's a good friend of mine, and he's got a big retro game collection like me, but it's because he, like me, bought all this stuff as it was coming out, you know? Or at least when it was still like very cheap and not like in vogue. And now he's kind of like me, where it's like, how much is this stuff actually worth? You know what I mean? Like, if I want to play these games, I have a million different ways I can play it. I don't necessarily need the physical copy of how it was originally released. He sold 10 GameCube games in the last week on eBay, and he made $800 selling them. And it's just absurd. And if he wants to play any of those games, he can still easily do so. And not only can he easily do so, he can play them better than ever. These 3D games, because he can play them in Dolphin and have them rendered at much, much, much higher resolutions that they ever could have been capable of on original hardware. So, games are kind of in a unique medium in that fashion, you know? It's not like when you want to watch a film, you can buy a copy of like a 35mm print, and then, you know, how you're able to digest that is going to depend on your, you know, local, you know, viewing capabilities or technological, you know, accessibility or whatever. With games, it's like the game itself it's an abstraction. It's a collection of code. The Super Nintendo cartridge that contains this game, Castlevania 4, is not the game. That piece of plastic and that piece of silicone is not the game. It's far more abstract than that, which is really interesting. It's like basically people's ideas realized via code, both in terms of the actual like game mechanics and the art. It's just code. There's no film involved. There's no physical medium that is inherently part of the experience. It's just this abstraction, this medium of communicating that. And digital data is just another way of doing it. There's definitely something to be said about the ephemeral nature of media and what kind of human responses that generates. Holding a cartridge or reading a manual or whatever in your hands versus reading a PDF. But, oh, damn it. That's my first death. Getting crushed right there. But yeah, at the end of the day, the game it's not any of those things. It's not the cartridge. It's not the manual. It's basically an idea. Oh, a whole bunch of comments from Troop there. Let's see. Emulation Killer collected from me ages ago. Twilight Princess. I sold my GameCube copy of Twilight Princess, just the disc, for like $70 a couple weeks ago. And I have zero regrets for that. Because if I'm going to play Twilight Princess, I mean, if I wanted to play the GameCube version, again, I could just load the ISO on my Wii. But if I'm going to play Twilight Princess, I'm going to play the HD version emulated on Cemu. So again, it's like, okay, the best way to play this is going to be the Wii U version. But again, I'm not even going to play the Wii U version. The disc is totally auxiliary to what the actual ideal, best possible experience could be at this moment in time. I've never even owned a Wii U. Yeah, the last physical PC game I bought was Deus Ex Human Revolution. Because I love the original Deus Ex, and Human Revolution was looking like it was going to be a worthy successor. And it was a good game. The original's still the best, but Human Revolution was solid. But yeah, I bought Human Revolution and then, disappeared in some storage in my basement somewhere. And now I own it on Steam, as well as the Director's Cut Edition, which is I haven't played it yet, but from what I understand, the better way to play the game, so why would I ever touch that disc again? Oh, one pixel of heart. See, with manga, that's a little different, because the actual experience of reading it can be different. The experience of reading anything manga or just a traditional book, that can be different, a different experience reading it physically. I'm gonna get too into the esoterics of looking at light being reflected on ink being printed on a page, but that's a factor versus staring at pixels on a screen. It's a different experience. I'm still not into ebooks. Maybe I will be someday, but when I want to read a book, I still buy a physical copy of a book. And it's not just the electricity aspect of it, okay, I want to go sit outside and not have to worry about the battery of this device dying, or, not have to worry about water damage. I can just toss a book in my bag or whatever. But, just the way that's being caught in the sun, just ink being printed on an actual page. There is an actual valid element to printed media in that format, absolutely. Whereas something like a video game, it's the only way you're going to be experiencing this is on some kind of screen. And yeah, like you said, the whole thing with like digital rights or whatever, and then, providers deciding, hey, we're not going to offer this thing anymore. Hey, maybe you even paid for it. It hasn't been a problem yet, as far as I can tell with games. Like, even if a game gets delisted on Steam, if you bought it before that happens, you still have access to it. But that's starting to happen with films, and that's really bad. So for me, between that and just the overall higher quality that you can get with like 4K physical discs, like I'm still buying physical for things I'm really into on that medium. It's just so many like dumb little things, like say you watch Netflix, for example, right? I haven't had a Netflix subscription in a while, but it's Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, all of those streaming services. When you stream them with a web browser, you're on your laptop or whatever, or maybe even to your TV, you've got your desktop PC connected to your television like I do. When you watch it through the web browser, you're actually getting an inherently throttled version of that experience versus downloading their app, whether that be the desktop version or mobile. You're getting a lower quality version just arbitrarily because you're using an internet browser instead of their app. It's just, there's so many of these like ridiculous little idiosyncrasies. Yeah. VHS is pretty cool. I mean, obviously, in terms of quality, it's not. But in terms of durability and, yeah, if I'm gonna be a hipster D-bag, the aesthetics are pretty cool. The reliability. Like, you could trust a VHS to maybe make it through a flood. Probably not a Blu-ray. Definitely not a 4K disc. In my experience, the 4K discs are way more sensitive to scratches than your standard Blu-ray or even DVD. Anyway, back to Castlevania. This is another one of the coolest pieces of music in the game. We are now approaching Dracula's castle. Listen to this. It's getting real. No! Not the knife. So sinister. Again, awesome piece of music. This is also, fun fact, the shortest time stage in the game. You are actually kind of up against the clock in this one, whereas usually it's not really a factor. But this stage here, if you waste too much time, you will run out. The VHS thing, this is extremely esoteric and nerdy, but hey, this is high-def-hide after all. It always reminds me of, I was like talking to somebody one time about Silent Hill 2, towards the end of the game where James finds the VHS tape. Also, by the way, this is basically where Castlevania 1 starts, the century away. But yeah, towards the end of Silent Hill 2, where James finds the VHS tape, and obviously a big plot twist. I won't say what it is for anyone who hasn't played it. Anyone who hasn't played one of the best games ever made, and certainly the best horror game ever made. Anyway, he finds the VHS tape and pops it in, and there's a big plot twist. And it's like, even at the time, the contemporary choice would have been DVD. Although, you know, probably still would have been rare for someone to be creating their own, you know. I don't think DVD-Rs were really a thing by 2001. But just like this image of James like trying to get a DVD-R running, and it's like all scratched up and like water damaged or whatever. It's like the plot never progresses because he can't get the thing to play. There's a tangibility to VHS. Is basically the point of this extremely long-winded and nonsensical tangent. Speaking of Silent Hill 2, though, I know, Troop, you mentioned, you recommended Gaming Brit Show before, which, yeah, I'm already a fan of. He's great, really smart guy. Definitely recommend it to anyone who's into the more, like, serious, like, academic, like, game stuff without an ounce of pretension. But his most recent video was like, why is it so hard to make an actual Silent Hill sequel? A good one. It's like kind of touching on some of these topics, and definitely recommended. But while looking at that and kind of just like revisiting, you know, what's going on in the world of Silent Hill, apparently Blooper Team, the Polish developers who made Layers of Fear and The Medium, that recent game, supposedly they're working on a remake of Silent Hill 2, which there are few things I can imagine that would be less successful. I made a comment on his video saying the same thing, but what I imagine that experience, if it is true and that does come to fruition, what I imagine that experience will be like is essentially the difference between Golden Age Simpsons and modern Simpsons, where, yeah, those are the same characters, and it's kind of the same visually, but there's this massive difference in execution, which is so fundamentally different that it goes beyond disappointment and into something far deeper of sorrow. But his point is basically the same way I feel. It's like these games were the products of very specific people at very specific times in their lives. And there's really... Even if Team Silent had continued making Silent Hill games after Silent Hill 4, I really doubt that they would have ever have been as anywhere near as good as those initial 3 games. I don't even think Silent Hill 4 was that good. It's a good game, but there's just something very specific. All of these variables involved with those first 3 games, especially with 2, where they really captured lightning in a bottle. You know? It'd be like reforming the remaining members of Pink Floyd and telling them, yeah, make something as good as Dark Side of the Moon again. Well, of course you can do it. You're Pink Floyd. Why not? And it's like, there's a lot more to it than that. It's not just the members. It's the time and place, where they were mentally at the time, what they were into, what their influences were. All of these like little esoteric things, the technology that they were developing on, the PS2 hardware. To me, Silent Hill 2 is absolutely one of the all-time crowning achievements in video games. It's not just the script, it's not just the characters, it's not just the ideas, it's all of these things coming together to form something that is so insanely good. Or it's like, sometimes people describe things as like greater than the sum of their parts. It's like Silent Hill 2 is one of those things where each part was great in the first place, but then, yeah, the sum of the parts is just this 11 out of 10 experience. Like, tap into something so good. Oh god, all of those Western Silent Hill sequels. And it's like, it's not the fact that they were developed by Americans. Of course not. It's not that like, oh yes, the only people that can really develop Silent Hill are Japanese. Of course not. It's just all of these people just like completely failed to get it. Okay, gotta have Pyramid Head. Gotta have sexy nurses. Gotta have a main character who has some kind of like hidden baggage or trauma that they've repressed. Just like missing the forest for the trees, 101. Yeah, fun fact, Roger Waters, well, he wanted to make Darkseid the best album of all time, so he actually developed the time machine and came back to the past with this revolutionary piece of Japanese hardware called the PlayStation 2. And by doing so, he was finally able to come up with the lyrics to Any Color You Like, which was an instrumental. Maybe you guys play those. You guys play any of those Western Silent Hill games? I played all of them except for Downpour. I played Origins, which was, you know, half-baked Silent Hill 1 clone. I played Homecoming, which again was like the first of the, okay, we're gonna do the Silent Hill 2 template, but with like modern third-person shooter gameplay. That was garbage. What was the other one? Shattered Memories on the Wii? That was garbage. Absolute tripe. Yeah, the OST stayed good because Akira Yamaoka still was doing them, except for Downpour. Which again, I was like, okay. After Homecoming, I was like, I give up. It breaks my heart, but I can't keep buying these Silent Hill games. God, that was ass. You talk about missing the point. Yikes. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, but here's one. I don't think PT, even if it had been actually able to have been made, I don't think it would have been a good Silent Hill game either. I think it would have been probably a solid, horror game. But I extremely, highly doubt that Kojima would have been capable of creating something Silent Hill tier. In terms of writing, subtlety, absolutely not. Get real. It's frustrating because a lot of people now are like, oh, you know, that would have been the best Silent Hill game ever. It's like, are you sure? Directed by the guy who every one of his like last 15 years of his games has to like repeat every single like intellectual concept 3 different times because he wasn't sure if you like got it or not. The guy who comes up with the character names like Die Hard Man. You think he would have come up with something on the level of, you know, Angela from Silent Hill 2? Yeah, I'm sure it would have been a very spooky horror game, but on the level of those original 3 games, no. I don't even think Silent Hill 3 is that great of a game. I think it's good, but I think it's a major step back from Silent Hill 2. Anyway, I'm kind of ranting about a lot of stuff tonight, I'm sorry. This is a nice track. Again, more awesome atmosphere. Another thing you don't get in Rondo there, being able to get the multiplayers for the sub-weapons. You do have the item crash, but I'd rather have the multipliers, honestly. I also would rather have the cross, but I just grabbed the axe instead. You can kind of cheat your way through it, just like jumping down. This is the silliest bit of this game here. Jumping on the giant green books. Fortunately, it's over pretty quickly. I'll admit I haven't actually played Death Stranding myself, but I did watch a few playthroughs and I'm not interested. It's like the core gameplay does not seem remotely interesting to me. The narrative is like just the worst of modern Kojima. He's beginning to lose me with MGS3, about half of that game. MGS4 is like half of it is ridiculous, even at the time. Peace Walker, pointless. MGS5, even what's there is just not that interesting or compelling. The gameplay's great though. What he needs is someone needs to find Tomokazu Fukushima, who was the co-writer on MGS 1 through 3 and has mysteriously disappeared off the face of the earth. Like seriously, what the hell happened to that guy? Where is he? No one knows. Literally, nobody knows. This is the guy that co-wrote 3 of the biggest games ever made. Where is he? What happened? Where is Tomokazu Fukushima? He was the X Factor. Those first 3 MGSs. But of course, I've said this many times before, but what was his name? The guy who did the translation for MGS1. He was allowed to actually, properly adapt it to the English language, unlike the rest of the translators. And when Kojima found out about the, relatively conservative measures this guy had taken to make this game, the script actually like make sense and sound natural in English, he had the guy canned and like, you'll never work on another one of my MGS games. It's like every MGS from 2 forward was a far more literal translation, and it suffered a lot from, for that. Easy, boss. Easy peasy. What was his name? I'm gonna look this up here. Jeremy Blaustein. That's the guy. If he had been on board to continue to translate the rest of the MGS series, from a purely script perspective, they would have come out a lot better. There's still plenty of interesting concepts, yes, but if he had been involved, and like you said, Troop, if Kojima had an editor in the first place, like, you don't have to repeat these same concepts 2 or 3 times. You can just say it once. And I know that thing you read on Wikipedia this morning was really interesting, but maybe you don't need to incorporate that into the game. They would have been bulletproof. That's the thing. Kojima has some really interesting ideas sometimes. Absolutely. It's just he tends to repeat himself a lot. Kind of beats you over the head with it. One of the tougher stages in the game, so I'm gonna try and be careful here. I've been doing pretty good though. I wasn't gonna say it. I was kind of hoping this was gonna be a no death run, but I've already obviously squandered that. But it can be a very low death run at the very least. Yeah, I agree, Mouse. Yeah, those tapes are interesting, but they need to be in there in a better form than just tapes. It's like if you go back and watch the trailers for that game, they use quite a bit of dialogue from those tapes. Like, oh wow, this is, you watch them, this is going to be an insane game. These are going to be some insane conversations these characters are going to be having. But it's like, no, those pieces of dialogue only existed in the tapes. So here's a fun fact. In the Japanese version of this game, all of the green liquid you're seeing was blood. It was all red. The pools on the bottom of the screen, the dripping stuff from the top, it was all red. It was all blood. That was a little too hardcore for Nintendo of America and Europe, so damn it. We didn't get that. You know what the absolute nadir of MGS5 was? There's that scene where you're sitting in, Venom Snake is sitting in the Jeep with Skullface, who, by the way, is definitely easily the worst of any of those MGS antagonists. He's sitting in the Jeep with Skullface. And Skullface is just kind of like lecturing, kind of just like going on for a few minutes. Venom's not saying anything. but then the ride goes on for like another 3 minutes and they're just kind of like staring at each other. You want the most like flagrant example of A, unfinished content, and B, Kiefer Sutherland is too expensive to continue to pay off for all these lines for. Good God. Yeah, just sit in the helicopter while quiet gives you a little show and tell. The epitome of Kojima's feminine representation in video games. Get this, she's almost entirely naked and she can't say anything. Bravo. God damn it. Be ashamed of your words and deeds. Okay. Focus on this game. Punching yourself in the face was good. It was a way to really actualize your feelings, how you felt while playing MGS5. No, I mean, in all seriousness, the gameplay of MGS5 is easily the best in the series. When you're actually, you know, in the bases or whatnot. Not so much when you're landing or, you know, getting dropped off in your helicopter 1,000 yards outside of the actual gameplay zone. But inside, when you're doing your sneaking and using your gadgets and weapons, it's top notch. Probably going to be something only apparent to those wearing headphones, but there is some really nice stereoscopic effects going on in the soundtrack, in addition to just being generally well-composed pieces of music. Like the percussion in this track is constantly alternating between the left and right channels, but that little kind of staccato melody that keeps popping up too is kind of gradually drifting back and forth left and right. It's a nice effect. Shit! Oh my God. Alright. There we go. We refill. There we are. Alright, I'm doing it this time. It's time to activate 1% of my power. I like that aspect, Troop. It's almost like utilizing the whip as a shield. And the trade-off is that it does far less damage. You know, and if something's like incoming other than a projectile, and even sometimes with a larger projectile, it's still going to move through the whip and hurt you. So it's a fine trade-off. Jumped a little too soon. Power of the blessed whip. Just like they have the power of the accursed spikes, we've got the power of the blessed whip. Farewell, Troop. Thanks for sticking around, my friend. Yeah, sun's probably coming up soon for you. Nearly towards the end, though. If you want to stick around, well, you know, they're like 30 minutes. No, it's okay, man. If you want to go to bed, go to bed. Take care, pal. Stuck with Malice. That's okay. I didn't post up links for this or Rondo in the Discord, so nobody else knows, maybe. Unless they are subscribed on YouTube. Get it. Yeah. All those hearts to good use. Doesn't affect the slime, though. And maybe Spoon will pop in. Who knows? Who knows? It's funny, you know, several of our compatriots are European or even Australian, so yeah, they're in majorly different time zones. stocked up on lives, so you're fine. Music stops if you die, yeah. Shouldn't stop otherwise. Well, it's, I mean, it plays a little riff, the death song. Should still be able to hear it otherwise. Yeah. Yeah, if you use the clock, it stops when you're ticking, right? It is kind of jarring either way. I love that touch of the skeletons kind of twitching on the chains back there. There's still some semblance of life left in them. Pretty horrific. Despite what those graphics may look like, here's a rare instance of hitboxes actually being more forgiving than they appear. Not getting stabbed in the head. I will say in Rondo, that addition of being able to pick up the sub-weapon that you were previously carrying when you grab another is a really nice gameplay touch. Frankenstein's monster, I think. Yeah. Go again. Although he doesn't have his little buddy, so this is going to be a lot easier than it was earlier. Simon's Destiny. Much, much, much easier. Only a few stages left. And none of them are going to take nearly as long as that last one did. Trust me. Dracula's Scrooge McDuck vault. Deal with the golden skeletons now. Out so we can get up here. That, he always gets me. Skeleton. There's just like a cross and a multiplier up there, I think. Maybe a piece of chicken. Kind of astounding after playing this back-to-back with Rondo Blood, how much better this game is. That was so frustrating. Like, unbelievably so. Not just from a gameplay perspective, but in terms of how lesser a lot of that felt in terms of the presentation element. This is like a weaker system than the Super Nintendo, but I mean, come on. Some of those stages looked blander than the NES games. golden skeleton, right? Ready? I guess never mind, because we're not getting up there. No frame of reference or any. You haven't played any of these? Really? They look pretty frustrating. This is good. This is nice and balanced for the most part. You'll know the difference of quality once, at the very least, once I hit the last few stages. You hear that credits music, like, oh yes. If it hasn't clicked by that point, it never will. The credits theme on this is one of the best pieces of music on the Super Nintendo. Extremely euphoric piece of music. That really transcends the medium and the form of technology used to render it. Don't sink to your death in the gold coins. Talk to the hand is an actually effective strategy against several enemies in this game. Like this. No. VR? Oh, still haven't had a... My last experience with VR was beta testing the Oculus Rift in like 2009. Haven't tried it since. I feel like right now is probably not the best time to get into it, because I feel like the next generation of stuff is probably going to be coming out in the next like 6 to 8 months or so. So I'm hanging out. I'm interested, but I'm hanging on. Wait and see. But even then, it's like the majority of stuff I would be interested in playing in VR would be like VR versions of the classic games that I've already played like 100 times. Which would be cool, because I'm going to be, you know, certainly continuing to replay those games, but as far as like a new, fresh experience goes, I don't know. Yeah! Oh my god, seizure warning. Alright, entering the home stretch now. Always gives me chills. Classic Castlevania tunes coming in. Yeah, 2 more levels to go and then the final boss. And now, after teasing you multiple times, dropping the classic NES tunes. I mean, it's a very effective thing. Dropping that nostalgic stuff at the end. It's kind of like the same like strategy you employ at like most concerts, you know, dropping the fan favorites at the backs at the end of the set. But it works. It's very rewarding. Yeah, this song is originally from the second Castlevania game on the NES. It's been used in many Castlevania games since. That's an interesting little coincidence there. By me dying, it looped at the same point it would have anyway had it continued to go on looping had I not. Anyway. Yes, very effective catharsis. The game has got a bit of slowdown now, but apparently they had the music running on its own dedicated code loop. So no matter what was happening in game, if it was slowing down or not, the music never would. But I think it's probably the common way they handled that. I mean, obviously no slowdown would be ideal, but if it's gonna be happening, that's the way to do it. Oh, that was close. Good God. If you had clipped me there, I would have gone right over the edge. Literally, not figuratively. I like this game too much to go over the edge figuratively. Yeah, we're in the end game now. Two more stages and then the end boss. Cross. Listen to the show with Classos too. Nice. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. At the end of the day, it's all going to be subjective. I do think it's a good example of well-utilized orchestral music in video games, especially considering that from what I understand, it was actually performed live by some orchestra. But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's all subjective, whether you're into it or not. It's like the difference between appreciating things on an academic versus a subjective level. It's like, yeah, this is definitely well written, but I'm not really into it. I mean, I'm super into it, but you know what I mean? How do you feel about the more ambient tracks? Be careful here. There's a lot of recipes for disaster. There we go. Yes. Okay. Oh, we're doing good. I love this so much. This game is a masterpiece. Boss. Hold on one sec. Back. Like that. Yeah, the multipliers in these classic Castlevanias, crucial when you're getting the items. It'd be a real tide changer. Oh yeah. I love those scrolling skies. It's like you didn't really catch them since the second level in this game, I think. Yeah, one more stage and then the final boss. Continuing to throw the nostalgic tunes at you, these NES tracks. Oh shit! I forgot about the stairs. Yeah, you can. There's a few of these stages you can notice in the last few. These kind of like vertical bits, and you can just kind of skip most of them by dropping down. But you got to make sure you actually land on a walkable bit on the bottom. Okay, Mouse, now I want you to remember an hour or so ago, playing Rondo of Blood, the section where we're running across a collapsing bridge with the bats coming at us, okay? Just remember that. Oh, that was pleasant. Oh, here we go. JK. One more time on the descent. Frankie, hey man. Try this again. Don't jump, take the stairs. Beautiful background there. A nice bit of parallax scrolling. Great colors. Kind of have a simultaneous time moment here. Like as you can see on the time meter up in our HUD, that time meter is cranked. We really don't have to worry about the time running out there, but we do have another measurement of time coming at us via the big buzzsaw at the bottom. Also, if you mess up like I just did, you're basically just waiting for inevitable death, so don't mess up. Damn it. Oh. Why does that keep happening? Just hold up. Hold up. There we go. Let's do it. Like the NES games, you can jump on the stairs. Thicker and thicker. Gotta be really careful here. Because of that, those big spikes. Okay. This last section we're now entering is one of my all-time favorite sections in any game. Everything between the gameplay, the music, the visuals, this really, really is top tier. I love this. Here we go. piece of music. It's so unusual. It's so good. This wild kind of harpsichord wailing with these ominous synth chords in the background. And the badass, heroic drums in the back. Like the sensation of impending doom is palpable. You talk about like achieving so much with so little. This is so beautiful. It's like that sky in the back, so ominous. Slog run Gabon. So these two bosses, they're actually a couple of the first bosses you go up against in Symphony of the Night. Together, work as a pair. Might even be the same sprites, actually. One more challenge before Dracula himself. Got no cross to deal with this time. It's okay, we don't need it. Where the kind of like loose whip swinging comes in handy. Dealing with those sods. Coolest moments in a video game incoming. That's so dope. Alright, check this out. The secret. You gotta know the spot, though. You gotta know the spot. It's like right on the edge of that platform there. That parapet. Oh, where is it? Alright. Okay, it's not the parapet, it's like right after the parapet. Damn. Yeah, there's invisible platforms over here. Get hooked up for all the goodies for Dracula. Oh, there's stairs. What am I talking about? Yeah, there's stairs. Like you said. Duh. No, go back down. You're right. Don't jump, just walk up. There we go. Except you do have to jump at the end there. Okay, no more fooling around. Okay, now it's time for Dracula. Take a sip of my drink and do this. Endgame. Alright, I got him this time. Check out the almost inverted cross up there on the left window. As much as Nintendo of America would let them get away with, I'm guessing. Shit. Okay, here we go. You're like songs with inspiring feelings and boss battles. Let's just wait. You just wait till we get to the phase 2 of this fight. It's been a long, hard night of gaming, but we're so close. I promise, this is it. Next time, this crap. here we go. Damn, that's satisfying. Phenomenal composition. It's like thinking about the feelings that have gone into what this piece of music is supposed to represent. Simon Belmont fulfilling his family's destiny, his life's purpose to continue to defeat Dracula and this evil. It's really good. It's like overwhelming sense of satisfaction and completion, achievement. It really comes across. It's like the track of reflecting on your life and everything that you've achieved up until this point. That's the feeling of this piece of music. Very inspiring. Talking about a video game from like 1992. It's an inspiring piece of music. just from a sound design perspective, sounds insane coming out of the Super Nintendo. Really, really great sample usage there. I don't think I'll ever tire of this game. Definitely one of my all-time favorites. In terms of the Castlevania series, neck and neck with Symphony of the Night, which is a game that goes for, very different goals and achieves them equally well, but as far as the traditional Castlevania games go, this has got to be number one for me. It's couples. This game really has it all. And this is one that I didn't play, when it came out, just many, many years later. I had played the first 3 NES games, Symphony of the Night, Bloodlines even, I think, before this. No, I got this at the same time as Bloodlines. So it's not just a nostalgia thing. It's like there's a soul in this game that is really appreciable. Konami was on top of the video game world. Pretty bittersweet, isn't it? Back when they were one of the top tier developers, putting out fantastic game after fantastic game. Clock is just about to strike midnight where I am. It's 11:59, and this piece of music and these things I'm thinking about, I feel like I want to go hike a mountain or something after this. What other games do I feel similarly about? Not too many. Maybe Final Fantasy VI, Dark Souls 1, Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger especially gives me these extremely warm feelings of optimism for the future, which, playing it these days is kind of bittersweet for various reasons, but I won't go there. But this game is a masterpiece. If I had to choose between this game and Symphony of the Night, I might take this, honestly. I mean, Symphony of the Night is really beautiful as well. Symphony of the Night is like I said, it's a different formula and a different approach. In terms of just the story structure alone for Symphony, it's hard to top that. Dracula's son himself finally having enough of his father and then, wanting to put an end to the bloodline. That's a very compelling story, regardless of medium, not just video games. But this, for the Belmonts, fulfilling his prophecy and achieving his life's goal, basically. It's a really beautiful thing, and it's obviously very minimalist and achieved with very little, but they did it. And this music really conveys that. It's really sweet. Yeah, Castlevania 4, Super Nintendo. Playing on my Super Nintendo. The original cartridge. 1991, a year after I was born. One of the best games ever made. But I could sit here and wax nostalgic and talk about the future and feelings and all that stuff all night. But I probably shouldn't do that. So I think it's about time to wrap this up. But yeah, I love this game. I'm down to play this game 24/7, 365, but playing it in the month of October, like any other Castlevania game, is a real treat. But yeah, this and Symphony of the Night are really the epitome of the series for me. Well, I certainly hope so. But thank you everyone for joining me, whether it was live or after the fact if you're just watching this video. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this game. Hope you enjoyed my stream and all the rambling commentary that went along with it. I'll be back this Wednesday, October 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the next game in my Halloween marathon, and I'll be doing that all month. Sunday and Wednesday for the rest of October here, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be playing October games, Halloween games, and things that are even remotely spooky or Halloween-esque. I'll be playing them here, 5 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, check them out. Always appreciated either way. But either way, thank you very, very much for hanging out and checking this one out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your week, and take care. Thanks, everybody. Adios.